Welcome to Doak Campbell Stadium, home to the Florida State Seminoles. And just listen to this crowd energy. Every Seminoles game, the war chant goes full throttle. This is not a normal matchup. Two teams ranked in the top 10, colliding right here in the middle of the season, trying to make a strong statement. Big playoff implications. As we'll see the #1 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, taking on the winners of 4 straight, the Florida State Seminoles. 3A Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler, here in the booth with Kirk Herbstreit. I think we've talked long enough, Kirk. Let's get this game going. The Longhorns will kick it away to start us off. So it'll be a touchback, ball spotted at the 25. Heading left after the handoff. Tackle's made, but not before he makes the 43-yard line. This drive is going now.
Good push up front and great acceleration by this back. I tell you, he's doing a pretty good impression right now of a combination of greats that they've had at Florida State. Guys like Warwick Dunn and Devontae Freeman, and more recently with guys like Cam Akers and Dalvin Cook.
One play, and they're already past the 40. 1st and 10. Handoff running right. Tackled way behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose 7 yards. The Noles looking to crank up the tempo a bit. Quarterback making some changes at the line. Takes the handoff here, looking to throw it. Down goes the quarterback. It's a sack.
This is exactly how you can slow down the momentum and a rhythm of an offense. You got to get some tackles for a loss and some sacks. This time, they come up with a sack by getting after that quarterback.
After consecutive losses, they need a miracle here on 3rd and a mile. Quarterback drops back from the shotgun. And he'll fling this one deep down the middle. And that one's picked off. What a play. Look out, he's got some space. Across the 40. Steps out after a crucial takeaway. This could be a big turning point.
Nice job by this defense jumping on that football to come up with the interception. And not exactly how this quarterback envisioned this game starting. His very first throw of the game, he puts into traffic, and he costs his team in a big way.
Listen to the crowd energy here in the early going. This is a tough environment for visitors. Takes the handoff, heads to the right. Finding space at the 20. And they've got him at the 5. Great run to set up scoring position here.
Well, that's what you love to see from an offense. The offensive line and the running back in sync, working together, and it pays off. What a big gain. Thought he might be close to being able to take it all the way to the end zone, but the defense just brings him down there inside the 5.
Longhorns come to the line with 1st and goal. He'll try to run it in on 1st and goal. Fights his way in for the score. Touchdown, Texas.
Boy, as a defensive coordinator, you've got to be careful being so worried about this pass game and this quarterback that you're a little bit soft up front and it costs you. It's exactly what happened here as they score this touchdown.
Now the all-important extra point. And it's 7-0 after the BAT. Kickoff team is on the field. Let's see if they give the returner a chance to bring this one back. And the return starts from inside the 20. He's brought down at the 28. That's where the drive will start. Here comes the Florida State offense on the field. We'll see if this quarterback can shake off the interception he threw in the last possession. One back in the backfield, and he'll get the carry. It's good for a 3-yard gain, so 2nd and 7.
Christine, the spread era over the years has always grown offensively, but what I've been always impressed with defenses that really build their defense to play in space still have an ability to be sound at the line of scrimmage and defend a running game. It's exactly what we saw right there.
Second down after that run on the previous play. Keep it on the ground. There's the handoff. Tackled behind the line. It's a loss of 2.
Boy, this defense is strong up front. Linebackers are flying downhill, able to make plays against this run game. Now they get this offense to another 3rd down. Now you pressure that quarterback and try to build on the lead.
So it's 3rd and long from the 29. Defense figures to bring pressure here. Dropping back. They're going to throw for the 1st down. The pocket breaking down. But they don't connect. It's incomplete, and it brings up 4th down.
Boy, it looked like the quarterback had everything that he needed there. Had great protection. Receiver ran a nice route. Just not able to convert there on that 3rd down. Let's see what their decision is on 4th down coming up.
And the Seminoles bring their punt team onto the field. And he boots it out of bounds. Not very long. It looks like no return here as that punt heads out of bounds. Offense takes the field. Remember last time they scored a touchdown. Can they keep clicking here? Or will the defense come up with a stop? He's going to take off here. Breaks loose at the 45. That's a big gain before he goes out of bounds. It'll move the sticks. More than enough for a 1st down.
You know, they tried to catch this defense napping on 1st and 10 by taking a shot downfield, but the defense does their job. They've got everybody covered, but I'm telling you, you better account for this quarterback because he can take off when things aren't there and use his legs, and he does that for the first down.
How aggressive will they be on this first down play? And they're moving the receiver now before the snap. Ball handed off. They stop him after a 6-yard gain, so 2nd and 4.
Great job by the offensive line here, opening up some holes and giving the running back room to run on 1st down. Plays like this can open up the playbook for the play caller, allow him to make that defense think, are they going to run? Maybe play action, maybe throw the ball downfield.
Second down after that run on the previous play. Motion now from the tight end. They'll run it to the left. They tackle him behind the line, a loss of 4. That was that excellent linebacker with a clear path just running downhill quickly.
You know, I think one of the great things about watching this guy play all year is his vision. He just has great instincts. That time the defensive line ate up all the linemen, freed up the linebacker to get into the backfield, and the result is a tackle for a loss for the backer.
So the offense getting set. This is not where you want to be against this defense. 3rd and long. There's a quick catch. He stopped short of the marker, so it's 4th down now.
The offense gets some positive yards here, but they're going to be short of the 1st down marker to set up 4th down. Really good job by the defense of tackling and the awareness to keep him short of that 1st down marker.
Field goal try, no good. He missed it. And the lead remains at 7 after the miss.
That's a missed opportunity for some points here. The way they were moving the football, I thought maybe a touchdown, at the very least 3 points, but instead, he shanks it.
Here's the toss play. Runner heads outside. And the senior able to make the stop after a short gain.
0.
Here we go. First play of the quarter. Offense setting up for a second down play. And the wideout goes in motion. Quick pass. Here comes a jet sweep. But they tackle him after just a 2-yard gain, so it sets up a 3rd and 8. And the Noles looking to run some tempo here. Looks like the QB is changing the play at the line. Drops back, needing a 3rd down completion here. Using his legs on the scramble. Looking for his big tight end. And it's picked off. He throws it right into double coverage and pays for it. They bring him down after a short return, but the takeaway sets up the offense near midfield. Okay, the Texas offense comes back out on the field. They need something out of this possession. The last time they settled for a field goal attempt, but then they missed it. Catch made on the out route. They get him down quickly, not much of a gain on that completion.
Anytime a quarterback and a receiver are in sync, you've got a chance to make a very successful play. Great job here by the offense.
Second down after that completion. Offense will keep it on the ground here. Gets some space around the 30. The tackle is made, but there's a flag on the field. Let's see what that's about. Pretty easy call for the head coach. He will accept that penalty, of course. Here's the second down play. Quarterback drops back. From the pocket, delivers over the middle. They bring him down, but that's a solid gain on the play.
We'll see if the defense stays in zone after that big play, or if they can change things up on this drive and get a little bit more aggressive.
Looking to throw it on first down. That one falls incomplete. Good defensive play. Brings up second down.
Everything about this play tells you about today's offenses and what they're asking out of their running backs. You can't just be a guy who runs the football anymore. You have to be able to catch it as well, and he didn't do a very good job of it on this play.
Incompletion makes it second down. Looking to throw again. Bringing pressure. And he dumps it off to the tight end. Defense reacts quickly. A very short gain on the play.
Well, that's pretty good coverage here by this defense. Not much of a window to throw this ball into, but the quarterback's accuracy and the size of the tight end picks up a nice gain.
Offense hungry to convert here on third down. They don't want to send out the field goal team after what happened in the last attempt. Off the play fake, looking to throw the football. And he finds a wide-open receiver. They forgot about him downfield. They bring him down, but a big chunk of yardage on the play. Longhorns hustle to the line to run the hurry-up. And it looks like the quarterback's going to run it. Stop after a small gain. Now looking at 2nd and 9.
Well, anytime you use your quarterback as a runner, the goal is obviously to hit some big plays. You got to be careful of letting your quarterback take too many big hits. Not only can he get tired, he can also start to fumble the football.
Looking to pass here on 2nd down. He's running out of time. Here's a fumble way behind the line of scrimmage. Defense falls on the ball. Crucial takeaway.
I think that's on the quarterback and the offensive line. They were breathing down this quarterback's neck before he could even recognize that they were there, and they were able to knock it loose.
And the Florida State offense heads back onto the field. The last possession ended in an interception. Let's see if they continue to trust this quarterback in the passing game. He'll come out throwing here to start the drive. Defense looking to make a big play downfield. And he throws his third interception of the day. Powers through a tackle. And he's wrapped up after a solid return.
Chris, that is back-to-back drives right now for this quarterback and this offense. Nothing seems to be going right. The defense is doing a good job of confusing the quarterback, who's obviously throwing the ball into coverage. They've got to make some adjustments with their attack because right now it's not working.
First play of the drive, they'll come out throwing. Running out of time in the pocket. And the pass rush has got him again. Back-to-back sacks. The offense will look to regroup here at 2nd and 11. From the shotgun, drops back looking for an open man. He's moving out of the pocket now. It's incomplete. He was hit as he threw that time. And now 3rd down coming up.
Mobility can be a blessing or a curse for some quarterbacks. Sometimes they feel that they can make a play on every single opportunity because they have such speed. Instead of just getting down or throwing it away, they try to force the issue. This one almost backfires on him as he tried to squeeze that throw in. He's lucky he didn't throw an interception.
That one is incomplete. The defender was right there, and it brings up 4th down now.
Well, Chris, obviously they had to go through the air there to try to pick up this 3rd down and long, but when you're so far behind the chains, you really allow this defense to dictate things, and it allows them to put pressure on your quarterback and can affect the timing, as we saw in this play.
And he's brought down immediately. No fair catch there, but that might have been the smarter play. And the Seminoles offense comes back on the field. Remember, the last possession ended quickly. An interception on the first play. Let's see if they can do better here. He'll hand it off. And the ball to the ground. It bounces past the sideline, out of bounds, and they avoid the turnover there. Hold on here a second. The replay booth has signaled they want to take another look at this one. So after taking a closer look, the officials are going to overturn that previous ruling on the field. That's the 2-minute warning in this close first half. The offense trying to score and claim the lead before the break. Offense getting set. 2nd down play here. Out of the shotgun, he'll hand it off. And they'll force him out of bounds after a short run. The Seminoles come to the line to run the hurry-up. Pre-snap motion from the receiver. Here's the snap. They'll set up to throw. It's a screen pass complete to the running back. They've got him, but that completion good enough for 1st down yardage. The Noles come to the line to set a fresh set of downs. Receivers now getting some new assignments before the snap. On 1st and 10, looking to throw. And he finds his tight end for the catch. He stopped out at the 42. That's a solid gain, getting closer to midfield. The offense finally producing here. Sets up a 1st and 10. Drops back from the shotgun, looking for an open man. And the sack is made. That's a nice play there by the sophomore. They'll crank up the tempo here with the clock ticking down. 2nd down. And he'll set up to throw. Fires it to the wideout. And he's got his man open downfield. He'll be taken down, but he crosses midfield of the 48.
You know, we talked this week with the offensive coordinator about what makes this receiver so special. He kept referring to his route running. Here's an example of that. Great route, enough separation to give the quarterback a nice lane to throw the football.
And here comes play number 6 on this drive. On 1st and 10 here, looking to throw the ball. And he fires the football to the right side. It's caught. They will rule that a catch, a huge gain through the air. And the Seminoles looking to take advantage of this red zone trip. Quarterback changing the play now at the line. Here comes a throw from the red zone. The pass rush closing in. And the senior quarterback puts a little bit too much on the throw. 2nd down after the incompletion. Quarterback drops back. We're going to test the secondary. Looks to the left, and it's complete. He takes it in for the score. Touchdown, Florida State. And now they'll set up for the point after. And the PAT is good. So after the touchdown, here's the kickoff, and we'll see if the opposing offense has time to answer before halftime. Here we're turning from inside the 10-yard line. He's tackled at the 21. That's where the drive will start. So they start the drive looking for some late fireworks here, less than 30 seconds before halftime. Receiver in motion now. And looking to throw now on 1st down. Receiver looks it in. It's complete. Defense shoves him out of bounds. Not much of a gain there.
Boy, Chris, great timing here with the quarterback against that zone defense. Waiting just at the right time to deliver it into that window to pick up a nice gain.
Pressure is coming. Cannot escape that ferocious pass rush. It's a sack. Timeout is called to talk strategy. Time for just 1 or 2 plays here before halftime. So the offense looking to be efficient here. Not much time remaining before the end of the half. Looking to throw it on 3rd and very long. Nowhere to go here, and the ball is knocked loose. Defense jumps on the ball. It's a turnover. Touchdown, Knowles. A fumble return for 6. Potential momentum shift there. They scoop up the fumble and score on it.
Boy, you just got to give credit to this defender for locating the ball, getting his hands on it, and then scooping it and scoring. So often you see guys that just want to go down. This guy realized, hey, I got athletic ability. I can pick it up. I'm going to score myself.
Lining up to try the extra point. PAT puts him in front by 7. So an important touchdown just before halftime. Not much time for the opposing offense to try to answer before the break. It's a squib kick picked up by one of the blockers on the return team. Tackle is made at the 35. Good job by the kick return at that time. Miller's going to wrap up the first half here. Let's kick it down to Kevin Connors with our halftime update. And the Noles will kick this away to get the second half going. Fields it inside the 5-yard line. He steps out at the 21. That's where they'll start the drive. takes the field. First play of the drive, looking to throw the football. Looks downfield and connects with a wide-open wide receiver. And they'll move the 6 on that one. It's a first down to the 42. The Longhorns will come to the line to run the hurry-up. Here comes a first down pass attempt. Quarterback takes off now, looking to scramble. Slides to avoid the big hit.
Chris, watch him work through his progressions here. Finds the first and the second option aren't there. By the third option, he's got to pull it down and try to pick up some positive yards, of which he did, and then he slides down to avoid the big hit.
Offense getting set up. Here's second down. Fakes the handoff, looking to throw. It's a short completion to the big tight end. He's tackled quickly, but the yardage is good enough for the first down.
Well, this is called settling down in his own defense, just kind of finding that soft spot. So not only does this tight end show that he's got great athletic ability and great size, here he shows that he understands coverage by sitting down in that hole, giving the quarterback a nice target, able to pick up that first down.
They make the stop, but not before a solid gain that time. The offense looks fired up to begin the second half. That's the kind of play they've needed to give them a spark.
Absolutely. I know they're down in this game. Clearly something was said at halftime to try to get this offensive line engaged, and it looks like it's working. They're playing with a different kind of energy. Let's see if they can do it again.
On first down, it's play action. And it's intercepted. He stepped in front of that bullet. He's got some room and some blockers here. Past the 20. Touchdown, Seminoles. And the defense adds 6 with the interception return.
Chris, how about the safety here? Just kind of sitting back, waiting patiently to read the quarterback. And then once the ball's in the air, there's the range to come up with that interception. And I love that he's got the speed in the hands to make this quarterback pay for it.
Kickoff team on the field getting set now. Return starts from inside the 5. He'll be tackled at the 18. That's good coverage there.
They'll take over.
Okay, the Texas offense comes back out on the field. They moved the ball in the last possession, but a devastating end of the drive, a pick 6. Can they recover from that right now? And he just throws it away.
Well, these guys just continue to struggle throwing the football. You know, whether it's been running the wrong route, the quarterback not being accurate, the offensive line not doing their job. It's been a collective effort, and it's a big reason why they're trailing now in this game.
Offense getting set. It's second down. Here's the snap. Looking to throw here. Fires it on the move. Beautiful catch right near the sideline. Gets the foot down. Heads out of bounds after a solid gain. More than enough to pick up a first down. Fresh set of downs for the offense. First down. Off the play fake, looking to throw. Lets it fly to the wideout. Finds a man downfield. That's a big gain to the right. Goes out after a nice gain. A sign of life here by the offense.
Chris, what a play here by this receiver for a big gain for Texas. And you think back over the years with Texas going back decades, I always think about running backs and, of course, quarterbacks. But there have been some receivers, Roy Williams and Devin Duvernay, guys like that. There have been others, but, man, plays like this, This is what you love to see. And kind of creating that new legacy for Texas of having elite receivers.
Pass is caught and uses his speed to pick up solid yardage. Longhorns hustle to the line to run the hurry-up.
Boy, it's so easy to get caught up on the receivers and the quarterback, and your eyes get lost. You forget about the running back. Nice catch and a first down for this offense.
Escapes the pocket, and he'll step out of bounds after a solid gain on that run.
That's what I love about this guy. Just getting good positive yards here and continue to just keep this drive alive.
Longhorns move into the red zone. They look to throw it here on second down. Catch made across the middle by the running back. Not much after the catch, but it is good enough for a first down. And the quarterback looking to make a play through the air. He's got it right near the end zone. And he's in. Touchdown, Longhorns. That's a crucial score. Let's see if they can build momentum and complete this comeback.
Well, I know they're still trailing, but that score is a great first step in trying to break down this lead. You don't want to leave it all to the fourth quarter when the pressure really intensifies and you have limited time.
And they tack on the extra point. Here's the kickoff team. Let's see if they give the returner an opportunity to bring this back. And the return starts just inside the end zone. And they've got the returner corralled. And here comes the Florida State offense on the field. Let's see if they can keep that passing game going. The last possession, very efficient and precise. Looking out throwing here to start the drive. Quick completion to the tight end. And the defense swarms, not much of a gain on that completion. Pass caught, second down now. Linebackers making some adjustments now. A pop pass on the jet sweep. Brought down for a loss after the completion. Not what they were looking for.
This is a great job of being prepared by this defense. Almost anticipating this play. They're in position to bring him down for a loss.
Well, a serious challenge for this offense. You don't want to be in third and long inside your own 20. How much of a risk will they take to try to pick up this first down? And he drops back in the gun. And he'll rifle this one deep to the right side. Another interception. That's number 4 today. Are you kidding me? They tackle him after a short return, but they get the football back and set up shop near midfield.
What a play by the defense. Really, the only way they can get back into this game is to create a turnover. They get an interception, and they're in business.
And the Longhorns offense takes the field. They punched it in the last possession. Can they do it again, or will this defense make some adjustments to get a stop? Lets it go quickly. Finds a man open on the right side downfield. Tackled, but first down. The Longhorns come to the line in a hurry-up.
Anytime you have a sudden change like this, Chris, I love to see the idea of this quick strike. The defense barely really has a chance to get established and get...
Oh, the sack is made there by the freshman.
Well, that takes the wind right out of your sails. This offense is trying to find a way to get back into this game, and another pressure and a sack against their quarterback.
Texas, 14.
Offense getting set for a second down here to begin the quarter. From the shotgun, drops back. Pressure coming, and they've got him again.
And just like that, you squeeze the life out of this offense. That's another sack by this defense. They have been in that backfield the entire game, and a big reason why these guys are enjoying the lead.
So 2 losses in a row puts them in a tough spot, 3rd and very long. There's the snap, and he's looking to throw. Fires it to the wideout. And he pulls in the catch. Defense able to stop him. It's 4th down now. Longhorns will come to the line, looking to keep the drive going on 4th down. Trying for a 4th down completion. And it's incomplete. And the drive will fizzle out here in the final minutes.
Oh, so close to executing here on a 4th down play in the 4th quarter. You're only down a possession. Now you're going to rely on your defense to come up with a stop and get your offense back onto the field.
Toss play to the outside. That's a nice wrap up there by the junior.
Now I like the run play here, and offensively at this point in the game, you want to remain in that attack mode first, while also staying in bounds and working that clock.
2nd down play coming up for this offense. They snap it, quarterback looking to throw the ball. It's incomplete. He took a hit as he threw the football, and it brings up a 3rd down.
Boy, the defense rolls the dice here on this screen pass. If they don't hit this quarterback, this is a big play. But give them credit, they were able to get to him before they were able to complete that pass.
And he'll drop back here on 3rd down. Looking for his big tight end. Picked off, a crucial turnover. Big takeaway, now looking for a big return. Touchdown, Texas. And the defense joins the party with a pick 6. And the defense gets involved, scoring a touchdown to suddenly tie this football game.
Just getting a couple turnovers from your defense is really all you can expect. But to be able to get 6 points from them in addition is above and beyond. They get their 6 points, and now they're really thinking about winning this game.
Knocks through the extra point. We are dead even here in the final quarter. Getting set to kick the ball off now. Return begins inside the 10. He'll be tackled at the 17. Strong job by the coverage team. And the Florida State offense heads back onto the field. They have got to bounce back on this possession after going a pick 6 last time out here. Play action here on 1st down. And he lobs it deep down the middle. The catch is made for a huge pickup. Essentially a touchdown-saving tackle, but not before a long completion.
That is great arm strength and accuracy by this quarterback. And let's not forget the wide receiver's job of bringing it in for that big game.
Using the ground game here. Tailback has the handoff. Defense stops him, but that's a solid game.
I think this defense keeps thinking about them throwing the football, and by doing that, they're opening up running lanes. Good positive yards there by the running back.
Second down after that run on the previous play.
29 Philly. 2-9 Philly. Check, check.
It's an option look. Picks up the first, looking for more. Oh, and the keeper slashing through the defense. Now for a 1st down.
These quarterbacks today in the college game are so athletic. They can beat you with their arm, obviously. But just when you think you have them figured out, they tuck the ball and go. I I'd expect this defense to put in a spy to keep this quarterback from running.
And the receivers got it. Defense surrounds him. Just a short gain on that completion. The Seminoles come to the line looking to crank up the tempo. Or it's snapped to the back. And he picks up the first down before they get him to the ground.
Look, I realize on any play call, when it's properly executed, it can go to the house for a touchdown. But the runs that really make a game plan work are the ones where you get just what you need. And he barely got the first down, but he got it.
The Noles begin a new series here, 1st and 10. A gain of 2 yards. Now it's 2nd down and 8.
Positive yards at this point in the game are always important, especially now that you're starting to get well within the range of a field goal to take the lead. But if I'm this offensive coordinator and quarterback, I'm thinking about a touchdown here late in the game.
Coming to the line on 2nd down. This is important. They want to avoid a 3rd and long. Offense moving receivers around now before the snap. Great cut. They whiff on him. Brought down at the 3. That was a solid run. Timeout called by the defense. Their first of the half as they try to make some adjustments here. First and goal, clock winding down. A great chance for this offense to get a go-ahead score.
Let's go. Slide 22.
Looks like he didn't get the snap off in time. That'll cost him 5 yards. And the head coach will decide to accept the penalty and take the yardage. And the Seminoles looking to finish the drive here. It's 1st and goal. Quarterback's got it on the option. Pitch to the back. And he's finally tackled out at the 2-yard line. Now the timeout is called by the defense. They've got some things to work out here.
Man, you know, the back gets a lot of the attention here, and he's a good back. But I love to see that offensive line win the battle at the line of scrimmage.
Defense getting very heavy here, looking to stuff the run. Pre-snap motion from the offense. They'll run the option. Touchdown, Florida State. And they claim the lead here in the final quarter.
What a thing of beauty by this offense to put that go-ahead score up on the board. The quarterback played with tremendous composure when the game was on the line. Now we'll see if his own defense can hold on to this lead.
PAT is up and good. They lead by a touchdown here in the 4th quarter. Now they get set to kick it away. And he'll bring it out from inside the 10. And he stopped at the 20. Tried to make something happen, but that's good coverage there. Texas offense comes back out on the field. Here we go. They need a touchdown. They got some time to work with here. They got to be precise and manage the clock wisely. And the clock winding down, they'll take a deep shot. And that deep shot is caught for a big gain. Now they've got to hustle to the line and get set. On 1st and 10, they'll look to throw it. The pocket breaking down. Able to get the pass away, but took a hit that time. Getting set. Here's second down. And he's back to throw again after that incompletion on first down. He pulls in the catch. And heads out of bounds after a decent gain.
One thing I love about this back is how he gets involved in the passing game. Nice catch here.
Now it's third and short in the 24. One of those line of scrimmage battles that could help decide this game. Looking to pick up the first down through the air. And the pass is intercepted as he throws into double coverage that time. Not much on the return, but they create the turnover.
Boy, would this quarterback love to have this one back. They're trying to work themselves back into this game here in the second half. And the defense comes up with a big turnover that could be the nail in the coffin.
And the Seminoles offense comes back on the field. They have the lead, still a one-possession game thanks to the defense. They'd love to work the clock, but they can't throttle back here. And he's brought down, but there is a penalty marker out there. Let's check out this call. So the holding penalty in the offense backs him up 10 yards. First down play call. How aggressive will it be? Defense gets him down, but they'll take the gain on that play. And the defense stops the clock with a timeout. 24 seconds remaining. Second down after that run on the previous play. Toss play to the running back going left. Finding space at the 20. Oh, and nothing but green grass ahead. To 30. Inside the 20. And he gets to the end zone. Touchdown, Knowles.
Chris, you don't see this kind of play very often. That is coast to coast. This guy, with the speed that he has, when you get him into the open field, we know how dangerous he is. But it started at the line of scrimmage. Great blocks up front, initially to free him up, and then the rest is all about that speed.
Kickoff team has come on the field now to send this one away. Turn starts inside the 15. He steps out to the 29. That's where they'll begin the drive. Line getting set up. It's a first down play. Quarterback looking to connect with the receiver here. Final minutes here. They'll throw it deep downfield. And it's picked off. That was a risky pass attempt, and he paid the price. He goes down, and the ball game will end on that turnover. Well, it wasn't a flawless performance, Kirk, but they look pretty good out there today, and a very satisfying W.
I think this group has a chance to do some really special things this year. They clearly have talent to be able to work with. I've been impressed with how this head coach managed the game and led his team to a victory.
And that is going to wrap it up. We enjoyed this one here. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.